I remember when one boy, I might have even told the story on a podcast once, but he was 15 or 16 years old, and he was being driven home from school by his older brother. They were going through an intersection when a guy ran a red and T-boned them on the passenger side, which is where the victim was sitting. He arrived alive, but barely. And I was the trauma chief. And so for this type of an indication, this is a blunt trauma. And when he's unresponsive, it's basically going to be a head injury or massive internal bleeding. He's not going to be dead because he broke his bones or something like that. It's going to be his aorta was sheared, one of the internal vessels was sheared, or blunt head trauma. To make a very long story short, it was pretty clear he was dead due to head injury, or due to the response, the neurologic exam, but it was a vascular injury. And he probably should have been declared dead in 5 minutes, but I wouldn't do it. I just was adamant that we keep working. And, 30 minutes later, I finally conceded he was dead and declared him dead. When I went to tell his mom, she screamed so loud. It's not like in the movies sometimes where people sort of weep softly. Like this was devastating. And I remember she tore the pocket off my scrubs, literally grabbed my chest and tore the pocket off my scrubs. I spent hours with her. I would actually go to his funeral. It was one of the very few people I didn't know whose funeral I went to. And when, at this point I'm in a suit, right? When it came time to walk past the casket, she was there. I didn't think for a second she would remember me. I mean, because how could she, right? And there were hundreds of people walking past, and she was greeting them all sensibly, right? When she got to me, she did the same thing. She completely collapsed, grabbed me, and tore the pocket off my dress shirt. And I was really, really moved. I mean, I just couldn't believe this had happened. I couldn't believe she would even remember some random person, although obviously it was such a traumatic experience. But I kept that shirt for a very long time as kind of a reminder of something that on a given day can change the course of your life, like such a random freak thing. And how many lives his siblings, and it blew my mind, but there was like a memory within her for this interaction separated by days and obviously by endless sadness. This podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of this information and the materials linked to this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content on this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. Finally, I take conflicts of interest very seriously. For all of my disclosures and the companies I invest in or advise, please visit peterattiamd.com/about, where I keep an up-to-date and active list of such companies.